Welcome to the Waffle Flower channel. Hi, it's Therese here, and today we're going to be making an image shaker card. I thought it'd be really fun to use this set, which is called Sweets. It has lots of different really cute elements in it, and it's going to be really easy to create my own little shaker scene. So I'm starting off by stamping out the jar image, and I'm stamping this on some acetate. Now that's really hard to see because it's clear, and I have got a piece of tissue paper behind it, so that's just letting me know where it is. I'm using an ink that works on a glossy or a smooth shiny cardstock, and that's the Ranger Archival ink, and I have done that first because it does take time to dry. You need to set it aside for at least 20 minutes to dry on a glossy surface. The other thing you can do is heat set it. I'm not a real fan of that though, because you can warp acetate, especially if it's not a really thick acetate. For the rest of my images, I've actually stamped them out with some Memento Tuxedo Black because I'm doing some Copic colouring. I'm just going to walk you through this simple Copic colouring that I have done today. I've actually stamped out both of the girl images, and I usually start my colouring with the face and then the hair, because if I'm going to muck anything up, that's the bits that I'm going to ruin. So then I don't sort of colour everything out else and then come along and ruin something and then have to start again. So I figure if I do these bits first and I know I'm happy with them, then I can continue with the colouring and all's good. I have held the, I've got the colour lids off to the side so you can see what colours I've used. But basically I have added my lighter colour, coming in with the darker, and then coming back with the lighter colour just to sort of smooth out the edges. With the hair though, I do like to have some sort of stripy elements just to make it look a little bit more real, and I don't like the highlights, you know, the shine in the hair to look too uniform. So by having some really small sort of flick motions and it gives it just a little bit more natural look. So I'm keeping the colours nice and fun today because I'm going to be making my own shaker lolly jar, just in case you haven't worked that out yet. One of the tricks I do though is if I don't have a lot of colours or I want to add some shadow, I just picked my like one of the grey markers, which I did there with the T2, and so I'll do all my colouring and then come back near the end and actually add my shading with the grey. So it means that it's a really simple way of adding depth to your design without having to own every colour in the Copic family, because you don't need every colour in the Copic family. We all want every colour in the Copic family, but we don't need them. At least that's what I keep telling myself. So this section of colouring, this is actually the group of sweets, and I'm going to be placing this behind my jar. I thought it'd look really fun to have it behind, so I've actually got that sort of stamped off to the side. These sweets here are actually going to be my shaker elements, so I'm keeping the colouring very simple because I don't need them to be realistic. This is a fun, probably a child's card, although I'd be happy to give it to an adult as well, but it's probably more geared towards a child. So there is no matching die for the little tiny sweets that I'm cutting out here, so not hard to cut out. I'm just fussy cutting them and leaving a really small white border, holding my scissors nice and straight and rotating my paper as I cut. And I won't make you sit through all of the fussy cutting, just one will do, because they're all pretty much the same. I have this wonderful border die, and it's a set of border dies, and it's called Stitched Layers, and this is the largest of them, and it actually gives you an embossed layer which you can see around the outside, but it'll cut the center away, and in that centerpiece it actually has a stitched border. Great set, really versatile. I just love it. So I've cut out the largest, and I'm going to be using the inner portion of that. Then I've also got the jar image, and I'm using the coordinating dies to cut out my little girls, and I'm going to run these all through my die cutting machine at the same time, and that just makes things easier. My sentiment comes from the Balloon Messages set, and there are plenty of fabulous sentiments in the Sweets set, but I liked this one. And I want to stamp it out in 2 tones. So the easiest way for me to do that is to use my Misty, and I've lined up my stamp using one of the Misty corners, and then using my black ink to stamp out the top portion of the sentiment and masking it just selectively with a post-it note. And then I'm using the My Pleasure. This is one of the inks from Waffle Flower, and this is the easiest way I know to do 2-tone stamping. I just love the Misty for this technique. So this is the reverse side of my panel. I've added some stamp runner adhesive, and I'm just actually laying it straight over the top of my acetate now, which has had plenty of time to dry. And you can probably see the acetate shining in the light now, which was really difficult to see before. I could have cut this earlier, but I didn't. If you were more organised than I was, you probably would have cut it down a little bit earlier than this. I decided to ground the jar. I just thought it would make it look a little bit better. And I accidentally touched the grey marker to the black ink. So, happy event. I actually came back in with the T4 then and made my shadow quite a bit darker than what I'd intended, and in the end I prefer this. I did come back over with the light grey and just sort of smooth out the edges though, and make sure that it looked nice and straight with the base of the die cut. For another fun shaker element, I thought it'd be great to die cut some little tiny hearts out of this. It's a glitter washi tape, and this heart is actually in the same stamp set called Sweets in that stamp set, and has a matching stamp as well, but I decided it'd be fun to do it, to die cut it out with the glitter. And I did actually add some red Copic to the back of this, just in case, because in the shaker these are very small elements and they might flip over, and if they do, then the red will show. It won't be like a white heart. Does that make sense? Yeah. I have some fun foam. This is a fairly thick fun foam. It's about 3mm, and I've just drawn a line where the shaker is going to be and cut it out with some scissors. I'm using some score tape, and I have actually added 2 layers of score tape, one around where I've done the cut and then one around the border, and then I can just lay that straight over the reverse side of my front panel. And then it's as simple as adding all my fun elements that I've just created. So these are my glittery heart die cuts, also my all my coloured sweets that I did with the Copic markers, most of them I think. And I'm making sure that I'm facing them the way that I want them to be in the shaker, so facing towards the front of the shaker, because these sweets hopefully are going to be too big. I know they're going to be too big to actually flip around, because you don't want to be seeing the back of it. And as a final bit of fun, I did decide to add some, these are just some clear white beads. I can now remove the release paper from the score tape that I've got around the edge of the fun foam, and add a piece of acetate over top of that. And this is just a really nice cheats way of creating my window and making sure that everything stays in place. I did decide to come in and add some, this is the B quadruple 0 4 zeros, quadruple zero, and add some colour just around the group of sweets that I'd coloured in earlier. And I have cut this panel down so that it's going to fit behind my jar that I've created. And very easy way to make an image, a fun image shaker. I'm popping up my two little girls now on the front of the card. This foam tape is only like 1mm thick, so it's quite a low foam tape. And this second little girl, I didn't want her legs to be on the card. I wanted to look like she's sort of coming in off the edge of the card. So I just simply snipped those off with a pair of scissors and popped her up on the front, and then decide the easiest way to sort of make the image even is to flip the whole panel over and then use the scissors just to cut straight along the edge. And that'll make it look like she's meant to be there, like that. To adhere my panel shaker, I do add lots of adhesive because they can get a bit heavy on the front of a card, and I've just adhered that to the front of a top fold card, and that's my finished card today. And of course I've got to test it out and give it a shake. That's what you do with shaker cards. For more product info, please visit us at waffleflower.com. You can also follow us at YouTube, Instagram and on Facebook, and find heaps more creative ideas. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I've had a blast. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.